Good morning. I'm Mayor Tommy Roberts, and welcome back to the Mayor's Table. On February 16th of this year, the Bureau of Land Management held a public hearing at which they took comments from members of the public regarding proposed rules and regulations that pertain to the oil and natural gas industry. Specifically, the rules deal with the accuracy of gas measurement at the wellhead, and others of the rules deal with the flaring and venting of natural gas at the wellhead. There's been a collaborative effort underway in San Juan County to offer further comment to these proposed rules and regulations, which many think will have a very dramatic impact on the health and well-being of the local oil and natural gas industry. My guest today is Chris Hunter, who is the regional manager of West Enterprise Center. And this is a business consulting organization, a nonprofit organization. Chris, welcome to the Mayor's Table.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad to be here.
Chris, tell us a little bit about West Enterprise Center. What does it do and what is its purpose?
So West is a nonprofit, SBA grant-funded small business resource for small businesses of all types. I help businesses ranging in size, Mayor, from $0 pre-startup to about $10 million in sales, have 20 clients, and I help build better businesses. And like I said, we're grant-funded by the Small Business Administration under the Women's Business Ownership Program.
Well, it's good to have you here, and I know
Glad
you bring a wealth of expertise to the issue that I want to talk about. As I mentioned in the introduction, the BLM conducted public hearing here in Farmington on February 16th. There were 400 people in attendance, if not more. The majority of those people were opposed to these proposed regulations. They are representing the working sector of the oil and gas industry, and they realize that these proposed rules and regulations could have a dramatic impact on the industry, particularly in the employment within the industry. There's a next phase of this process, and that is the opportunity to submit written comments into the public record by April 8th, I believe. And you have been involved in a collaboration with Four Corners Economic Development Incorporated to develop a community collaboration to further weigh in on these proposed rules and regulations. How did you get involved in that effort?
West is very vitally interested in the health and well-being, Mayor, of our small business community. I serve a number of oil and gas service clients. It's a very challenging time if you're an oil and gas service provider. As we know, prices have come down dramatically, and this pressure has been showing up in businesses ranging in size from as large a business as Aztec Well Service to as small as a mom and pop operation. So it's kind of mission central to what West does, is help build and sustain businesses. So I'm also very closely tied in with Four Corners Economic Development. We work hand in hand on issues of economic development and well-being, and so that's where I'm kind of tied in. And this is actually round two. We've done this with power plants before, so back now with the BLM.
Before we talk about the collaboration effort, let's talk a little bit about the underlying issues that we're having to deal with. So we've got a combination of low commodity prices, falling oil prices, and now consistently low natural gas prices, probably low for 2 to 3 years now. And when we combine that with new regulation, it has the recipe for disaster. I won't be reticent about describing the potential impact. This could be disastrous for San Juan County and for the oil and natural gas industry in San Juan County. Our challenge is to convey the message and to structure an effective message. You and I both spoke at the public hearing on February 16th. We probably talked about different things. You were representing the Public Utility Commission in your comments and as a commissioner of that commission, and your comments were very well taken. I tried to emphasize the need for a thorough cost-benefit analysis before these rules and regulations are implemented. Mm-hmm. What's your view of the cost-benefit analysis that has been done at this point in time?
Very minimal. We have it on good authority at Four Corners Economic Development in West that the BLM, particularly with the venting and flaring rule, had suggested that there were no costs at all with implementing the regulation and only royalty revenue to be collected, which is very far from the truth. Today, Mayor, at a $1.65 natural gas price, about 25% of all of the 20,000 natural gas wells in the basin are not producing enough revenue to pay the bills. And regulatory burden added to that might drive 25% to 37.5%. And the BLM hasn't considered that there's 1.2 jobs associated with every well. So at stake are a lot of jobs and a lot of revenue to schools, municipalities, counties, nonprofits, the list goes on. So it's an economic analysis that is not well done yet.
Let's talk about some of the impacts. We know that many wells in the basin are marginally producing wells. They're the kinds of wells that have to have low operating costs in order to continue to be economic. The incremental cost of compliance with regulations like this may very well result in the decision to plug and abandon these wells, and if that happens, then we have forever the loss of those reserves. When wells are plugged and abandoned, we have a loss of royalty to federal and state government. We have a loss of production and severance taxes to the state government. We have a loss of income taxes, both corporate and individual, and we have a corresponding loss in jobs. And when we have a loss in jobs, that has a direct impact on the well-being of local economies because we have the loss of the buying power associated with those wages. I assume that you would recognize all of those points and that they are points that are being made in this effort to further weigh in with the BLM on the implications of these regulations.
Absolutely. Our community response is one of facts. We're talking about implications associated with job losses, royalty losses. The letter that we're working on, Mayor, actually has a large number of signatories that you wouldn't normally expect to see in a letter like this. School districts, San Juan College, the electric utility, the county, the city. So as we put it all together and look individually at how this might impact us, it's big dollars with real people, real faces. And I think that's one of the things that's important to send as a community message and allow us to have a community voice to share that message in a united, civil, respectful way. This is not any kind of wild-haired anti-federal government thing. But it's a big deal. The Bureau of Land Management runs or controls majority of the natural gas production in northwest New Mexico.
Let's talk specifically about the collaborative effort and what it entails and what it is you're hoping to accomplish.
Well, we'd like to get 10,000 community signatures on a letter to our congressional delegation, asking the delegation to look at and consider carefully the economic implications in our local economy should these regulations in their present form be implemented. The signatories include a whole lot of affected parties. San Juan County, the cities of Aztec, Bloomfield, Farmington, and Kirtland, Four Corners Economic Development, the electric utility, the San Juan College, the school districts, United Way, and of course the general public. Each of these entities have a paragraph in the letter that speaks to the dollars and cents, real faces impact of these regulations.
How can we get people to sign on to this letter?
It's easy to sign on to this letter. There's a way to sign on and review the letter, which is a long letter, by the way. It was printed in the Daily Times this morning, as a matter of fact. realpeoplerealjobsnm.com. So that's realpeoplerealjobsnm.com. You're also able to sign the letter with a physical signature here at City Hall, the San Juan County Courthouse, Bank of the Southwest, Webb Chevrolet and Toyota, Horace Nissan, Zimes Ford, KNDN Radio, the chamber offices, Farmington, Bloomfield, Aztec, and Farmers Insurance in Aztec at 516 and 550.
Well, Chris, I think it's a very important community collaboration, a community effort. We appreciate what you're doing to help facilitate that. It's my understanding that this letter will be sent to our congressional delegation in Washington. Is it also the plan to submit it into the public record as written commentary?
It is indeed, because it speaks directly to the economic implications of the rules, and that's what the BLM has to consider by law economic implications. And so this is our community's voice into that process, Mayor.
And this letter needs to be submitted into the record by April 8th. So in closing here, again, Chris, thank you for being here, and thank you for being such an integral part of this effort. It's a very important community effort. And I would encourage anyone who is viewing this segment of the Mayor's Table to become engaged in this effort. It can make a difference. It could change the course of this process, and we are hopeful that we can make a difference. I want to thank you again for joining us on the Mayor's Table, and hopefully you can join us again next Monday.